and welcome to our second video podcast with Social Confidence, Season 1, Episode 2. We are joined today with Mark Griffiths from EP2. Hello, Mark.
Hi, Darren.
Today we're going to be talking about positivity and motivation, and Mark is here to answer a few of the questions that you sent in and to give us a little bit of a feedback about what he's been doing locally. First of all, Mark, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the work you've been doing locally over the past few years?
Yeah, a lot of the work I'm doing is with unemployed people or people living in deprived areas. So I've designed programs to help them get back into work, to overcome the obstacles that's stopping them going into work or education.
I say it sounds like a very rewarding job. Have you been enjoying it?
Great fun. You never know what you're going to get. It's different every day. One day you can be sat with a local MP, and in the afternoon you can be sat with a drug dealer. So it's quite good.
Brilliant. Could you tell us a little bit more about Arete specifically?
Yeah, basically it's the Greek goddess for overcoming adversity and being the best you can be. I wanted a logo that looked established, and I wanted something that meant something as well. So not the easiest pronunciation, but
nor is the pronunciation apparently.
Yeah, but it's got meaning behind it.
Awesome. Today's topic is about motivation and positivity. Can you give us a clear definition of what positivity is to you and about positive frame of minds?
Yes. Whenever events happen to you, it's not what happens to you, it's how you deal with it that counts. So if you can look at it in a positive way that's going to actually let you look at where you're going to benefit from it, to me that would be a personal positive gain.
And what about negativity and the balance between positivity and negativity?
Well, if you're in a negative situation and you just look at the negatives, sometimes it's not healthy and it can affect you in a way of depression, anxiety, stress, phobias as well. So that's a negative frame of mind. So, which obviously sometimes is not healthy.
Of course. A lot of the questions we've had posted into us have been based on opportunity and how not to miss the opportunities in our day-to-day lives. What guidance could you give to our listeners out there for maybe solutions or helping to overcome the missing of the opportunities in their lives?
Yeah, when you're in a negative place and you're not where you want to be, sometimes you fail to see further than that. And a lot of the time you've got your head down, you're too busy moaning about your current situation.
Of course, yeah.
So literally get your head up, look up, take note of the things around you, and you will see that, when there's people having a good time, you think, well, what are they doing different to you? So it's start looking at the positives, and when you're there, it's saying, well, yeah, there's my negative situation, but what positive outcomes can come of it? You can use a negative situation to drive you.
Of course, yeah. I mean, in the books that I've written myself, I've mentioned a few things about spiral thinking and how that if you're in a negative frame of mind, you will feed off that and continuously keep hitting that negative frame of mind.
Yeah, and it's surprising how quickly negative breeds, isn't it?
Well, this is it. Yeah, I mean, it's the snowball effect of how if you are thinking of a positive thing, then it can keep going forward and stuff like that.
Yeah, sometimes you've got your negative situation that you're using to drive you. And eventually, over a period of time, it builds up momentum, and then it's enthusiasm and motivation as a natural progression that will drive you then.
Of course, yeah, of course. I'd like to talk to you today, Mark, as well about self-value and what advice you could give from a life coach perspective to help gain a higher opinion of oneself and to gain a higher opinion of their own self-esteem.
Yeah, a lot of people have got friends and family members that they look up to and they respect. But it's looking at the individual things of why you like that person. So if we've mentioned things about honesty and loyalty and stuff like that. They've all got a value, and you value them in other people, but you don't necessarily value them in yourself. And it's quite surprising. The friends that you hang about with are very, very similar to you. But when you start looking, you're just like them. You're honest, you're loyal, you're reliable. You're fun. You're all of those things, but you're not valuing them in yourself. So you've got to try and value them the same way that you value them in other people.
See, this is really good advice you're sharing with us today. For those listeners out there who don't know how to see their own value, is there any advice that you could share with them so that they could get an insight into their own value, or maybe help them figure out what their own value is.
Yeah, if you've got children, for example, you're going to value them, rate them 10 out of 10.
Of course, yeah.
But they're only a little piece of you, and you're only rating like the whole of you a 3. How can you rate a little piece of you a 10 and the whole thing only a 3? Doesn't make sense. So you've got to start collecting the values that surround you. Friends that give you a value, so you've got to accept it. And if you've got low self-esteem, it's not easy to accept that value a lot of the time. It's quite embarrassing. If somebody pays you a compliment, you can be embarrassed by it and literally put your hand up and block that value coming in.
Yeah.
But you've got to accept the value and think, yeah, I actually did okay that time, and take some of the credit. So if you look at the language we're using, it's value, credit. You've got to take the credit. So, parents normally pay you compliments. You can take some of that on board rather than just let it bounce back off and just ignore it, So you've got to make these things conscious. When people pay you compliments, when you're having fun with somebody, all of those type of things, they're the things we just take for granted and don't see necessarily on a daily basis. But it is there. It is there.
Finally, Mark, can you share with us some life coaching ideas that we could put into practice to help not only myself but our listeners out there to get motivated and to get into that positive frame of mind towards making those first steps to achieving our own personal goals?
Yeah, if you're, like I've said, if you're not where you want to be, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's only a bad thing if you don't put any positives to it, like the car battery. It won't work without a negative and a positive. So if you've got a negative situation, don't just keep looking at the negative, look at the solutions, which are the positives. So if you've got no money, for example, don't just keep saying, I've got no money, I've got no money. Start thinking, what ways can I find money? What different ways are doing it? There's working, there's loans, there's all type of things. I'm not saying go out and get a loan, but start looking at the solutions of what things would work for you. And then when you start making these decisions, saying, again, going back to their low self-esteem, when I make a decision, is it adding to my value or is it taken away from my value? And then that way you'll know whether it's a positive decision or a negative one. Then you should start getting better outcomes. And then, so use your negative situation to drive you, not pull you down.
That's brilliant. I remember a few years ago when we met for a coffee, some of the advice that you gave me was the first step, and you advised that I go home and clean my room and to get into a clean atmosphere and a clean frame of mind,
yeah.
And that will help me to see things more clearly. And that advice has stuck with me for 2, maybe 3 years now. So every time I'm trying to take that first step, it's always get myself organised and get myself in that right frame of mind.
Yeah, and you're achieving straight away, aren't you?
We're getting there slowly. We're definitely getting there slowly.
Yeah.
Mark, thank you for coming in today and sharing with us some live coaching. I'd love for you to give us the details of Arete, so that for any of our listeners out there who would like to look you up and to look into the work you've been doing locally, or to even get some more advice from you.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook. You can put Arete Life Coaching Limited on Facebook and find me through there. Or you can contact me on 07875 945 517 and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Mark, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for coming in. This was our topic today was a course about motivation and self-esteem and positivity. Thank you for listening.